when I was a kid, it seemed like we had some of the coolest toys that ever were made. I mean, I look back at some of the things that we had, and we were so lucky to be kids in the era that I grew up in, the 70s and 80s. And here is my top 10 of the toys that I thought were the best that there was. Number 10, Shogun Warriors. These things were so awesome. They were big, they were durable, they could shoot their fists off, shoot missiles, and they were just larger than life. And let's not forget, when they introduced Godzilla to the equation, it was just awesome. I had to have this toy because it was just, something that was just epic. My friends and I would be outside and we would play with these things for hours. Number 9, Mego figures. Now, I'll be honest, this was my first introduction into superheroes. My mom would pick these things up all the time. She would bring home Batman, Robin, Superman, Spider-Man. I had the Thing, the Hulk. There were so many of them. But I'll be honest, the best ones were the Star Trek ones. The Star Trek Mego set was something that was phenomenal. I mean, the way they did that and the way they did the transport room, the illusion of the person, it was just so cool. Number 8, Masters of the Universe. When I first saw these things on TV and I saw Skeletor, I knew I had to have that figure. Those things were so cool. They were larger than life. They were durable, and they just looked cool. The first generation of these, they were awesome. It was so creative. And then when it came out with the cartoon, it just cemented it. And they had comics. Masters of the Universe. People don't realize that this franchise was on top for quite some time. Number 7, Transformers. When these first came out, I was sort of late into my childhood. I was just getting ready to enter my teens, so this was like really the last things that I can remember really getting into and playing with before, I started getting into cars and girls and things of that nature. But the Transformers were so cool. Die-cast metal, the original, the OG Series 1, there was no topping it. I had Optimus Prime, Megatron, Jazz, and the coolest, in my opinion, of all time was Soundwave. That thing was so awesome. Even the cartoon, it just magnified it. Number 6, G.I. Joe. Now, G.I. Joe, to me, I had 2 incarnations of that, because when I was younger, I had the 12-inch G.I. Joe dolls, or should I say action figure, because those things were really cool. They had accessories. You can do things with them. They were durable, too. You can drop them off a building, and they would be good to go. I love these things, but I'll be honest, man, their second incarnation with me is when they went to the smaller figures, because that's when the cartoon came out. That's when you could get, more vehicles and more things for these things. And there were so many of those, and G.I. Joe was huge. People don't realize how big that franchise got during the 80s. It's a shame that, it's not around now like it used to be, because, man, I can tell you, with some of the stuff that's out right now, boys could use some G.I. Joe. Number 5, the $6 Million Man. Now, I love this show. I've done a video on it. You can go and check it out if you want. But this was one of the best toys I ever got when I was a kid. When I was like I said, 5 or 6, I came home and I got this doll for my birthday, and I carried this thing with me everywhere. I watched the show. I loved it. I had the little play set. I had the Maskatron villain that he would fight. And it was just one of the coolest toys I can ever imagine. And it's just, I still have it, and I gave this to my son, and he played with it. And it's just something that it'll be a keepsake in my family forever. Number 4, electronic football. Now, I don't know many boys that was, in my age group that didn't have this game. The sounds of it. I remember I would play this game for hours, and I remember my mom would get on me, hey, you need to cut that. And it was it was nothing but dots, but man, was it fun. I couldn't get enough of it. And you could play against your friend, and it was just, I don't know, it was just something about it, the noises of it, and it was just a good game. It was something fun. Number 3. Now, I know this ain't really a toy, but to me, the BMX bikes back in the day, in late 70s, early 80s, I loved my bike. Now, I wasn't rich enough to afford one of these high-end Mongoose Red Lines or anything. I had the old Team Murray. This is my bike. And I'll be honest, man, I love this thing. I mean, I rode that thing until the damn wheels fell off of it. I mean, it's one of the things where I would still probably have it had my mom not got rid of it. And I loved it. I spent many hours. We would drive all over the place. Your mom would think that you would be playing outside, but you'd be 2 towns over. And I know it's just something that won't happen nowadays. It's just, it's crazy of how things have changed so much. Number 2, Star Wars figures. Now, Kenner Star Wars figures was a game changer, man. I love these so much. I remember I had so many of them. And, it was just one of them things where I would go and hustle groceries and mow lawn, shovel snow. I would do whatever I had to do to make money to go buy the newest figures that came out. I remember when they first came out, I mean, I had to have them all. And I remember it was like on my 10th birthday, I actually got the first series of them. There was like 12 of them. I got all of them. I thought it was awesome. And the vehicles and all of it. I mean, it was just something that was bigger than life. And Kenner, I tell you, I mean, they hit a home run with the Star Wars figures. They were awesome. Number 1, game consoles. I remember when I first got my Atari 2600, and I remember getting Space Invaders and Missile Command, and I mean, these games were just so epic. And I mean, looking back at them now, did the graphics hold up? No, but I still have an Atari, and I still play these games. I play Berserk, I play Space Invaders, I play Yar's Revenge. There were so many titles that came out, and not all of them were great, but you know what? It was still a lot of fun. And let's not forget Nintendo when it first came out. This thing, I'll be honest, I was a little bit past the arcade, the consoles. I was more going to the arcades. But when this came out and they introduced Punch-Out, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, that's when I pretty much said, I gotta have it. And it was one of the things where I played it, and I loved the system. It was great. I mean, Mario and, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and there was one game that my sister loved, Bubble Babble, and it just reminds me of her. It's just something that, memories I have of it. And, it's one of them things where the game consoles ruled for quite some time, and they still do. I mean, think about it. My son, he has all of them, the PS5, the Xbox. I don't get into it like I used to, but man, back in the day, these were phenomenal. Now, there's a few honorable mentions that should be on this list, but they could be on most people's list. The Rubik's Cube. I don't know many people that didn't have one. These things were like, it was like a craze. Everyone had to have one. Hot Wheels cars. I remember I didn't have very many of these because, I was too busy, into Star Wars and things like that. But I did have some, and we would go out and we would make tunnels and stuff for these cars to drive through. Remember playing in the dirt with these things? They were so cool. I mean, I just, I don't know what happened to the way things, changed so much now, but kids just don't go out and play no more. Big wheels. I remember we couldn't afford one of these. So, I mean, I remember my friends had some, and I remember, everybody would ride them, and I had like a knockoff version of it, but you know what? It was still cool. Electronic football. My God, was this game so cool. I had this game, and I remember stories to this day. Growing up where I'm from originally, we would get a lot of snow, and this game here, I would have salt, and I would dump sugar on it like it was snow on the field. When it vibrated, all the sugar would go to the side, and I remember my mom getting on me saying, you're using up all my sugar, and I'm like, but Mom, it's snowing in Pittsburgh, and it's gonna be snowing on your ass. But it was just fun, man. It was so cool. And I remember, you would go to places like Toys R Us, and you would get these things. And remember going into Toys R Us, it was like the epicenter of just all the awesomeness, all the Star Wars men, the toys, all of it was just so cool. And it broke my heart, a few years ago. I don't know, that's my top 10. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I left something off that you think should be on this list. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel as I'm trying to grow. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.